I think that has been the biggest thing that I've learned, like looking at people with disabilities or without disabilities, just learning how to live in a disabled world that's not made for us. It's just very interesting.
Welcome to the Spero Hope podcast, where we take storytelling to a whole new level by sharing amazing patient stories, interview experts in the community, and share resources for clinicians and students. So today we have with us Kat Ogden. Good morning, Kat.
Good morning.
How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Good. And Kat is one of our amazing patients at Spero. So can you start by telling us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what do you do for a living, what do you do for fun?
Sure. So I'm Kat Ogden. I grew up in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and Chattanooga, Tennessee. I'm the oldest of four. I have three younger brothers. I went to an all-girls school from 7th through 12th grade, graduated in 2002, and then I went to college at the U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland. I swam for a year there, played rugby for 3 years. After graduating there in 2006, I went to flight school in Pensacola, Florida. I became a helicopter pilot, was stationed in Japan for 3 years with the Navy, and then I met my husband during that tour. We both moved to Pensacola, Florida after that to be instructors. So I was a helicopter flight instructor, and he was a fixed wing flight instructor. We got married, had our first kid right away. So our oldest, Liam, was born, and then while I was still active duty, I had Emma a couple years later, and then I got in the reserves, was a Navy historian, and then had my third kid, Katie, and then we both got out of active duty. Wes was hired by Southwest Airlines. I was on reserves. We moved to Houston, Texas, outside of Houston, Katie, where he was still flying for Southwest. I was still in the Navy. Then we got pregnant with our fourth, and then in 2019 I had her, and 5 days later, for whatever reason, I had a intracerebral hemorrhagic stroke on my right side. No reason, no high blood pressure, no diabetes, nothing. Everything was a normal pregnancy. My mom was staying with us because, I just had a baby, and Wes was on a trip in California. And for whatever reason, she had turned off her phone because there were a lot of Amber Alerts coming in. So I think I was up. I don't really remember, but I was up, I think, feeding the newborn baby. And then I didn't feel well, so I called 911. They came to the house, couldn't get into the house because it was locked. And they were like, "Can you open the door?" And by that time, my legs I'd already lost feeling and ability to walk. So I was still able to have my speech. So I told them to go around the side of the house, go through the wooden gate, go into my car in my garage, get the keys out, and then open the door to get into the house. And that's how they got in and found out. And as soon as we've listened to the 911 call, as soon as I got them in the house, I guess I blacked out. They said my blood pressure was really, really high at that point, and they thankfully took me to downtown Houston, or Memorial City, and not the little hospital that was local, where they had a brain surgeon, and he was able to do emergency craniotomy. But they don't really know why I had the stroke. Their best guess is it was some kind of postpartum preeclampsia, but they were never able to do a urine test or anything like that to figure out. They said it doesn't matter what caused it. Let's just get the blood off the brain. So because it was hemorrhagic stroke, the brain just keeps bleeding. So they did the surgery. They put a shunt in on the left side to help the fluid drain because I had hydrocephalus. So they were just trying to get everything off the brain. And still to this day, they don't really know what caused it. They just, they said it's a stroke. I've been in rehab for almost 3.5 years. Just trying to learn to walk again. I had to learn to swallow again, all the, typical stuff after a stroke.
Wow.
So now I'm just a mom of four, but not just a mom of four. So that's pretty much what takes up my time. I'm not in the Navy anymore. I'm not working anymore. Basically just rehab and helping with the kids' projects at home. What I like to do for fun, if I ever have time, is I used to do a lot of like swimming or working out just for fun, but now like I get into TV shows a lot. Um, I can't really do a lot of cooking, not that I ever did before, but I guess read and watch my shows. This is kind of what I do for fun. I like go hang out with friends, do stuff, but my fun now is a little bit different. My fun, I guess, is volunteering at my kids' school and just kind of being part of their lives is what I do in my spare time. I wouldn't say fun, but in my spare time.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Kat, I want to say first, like, thank you for your service. I
Oh,
think
thank
your
you.
like career is like so amazing. And I remember the first time that I met you and you told me all that you did, and I was like, oh my goodness, like this woman has done so much in her entire life.
Thank you.
And like it's crazy the circumstances that have brought you to where we met at Spero.
Right.
I just want to go back to when you were in labor and delivery. Were you like hospitalized for a little bit
No,
after you
nothing.
had
It was I was in there for
baby?
2 days. I had
Wow.
the baby. It was a normal. I mean, she was a big baby. She was 9.5 pounds, but I have big
Hmm.
babies. But no high blood pressure my whole pregnancy. It was actually pretty low. The bottom number was always 70 or lower. Um, no gestational diabetes, like nothing. The only thing that made me high risk was I was 35. So I
Hmm.
was, of advanced maternal age or geriatric pregnancy. I hate that, but
I
so that
hate
was
that
really
word
the
too.
only, I know geriatric. That was the only risk factor, really, and that we knew she was going to be a big baby because they have big babies. But yeah, nothing. We even had like a lawyer look at my medical records just to make sure there was no malpractice or nothing missed. I had normal blood pressure, no proteins in the urine when I left the hospital, like everything we checked out. The only thing that it said in my discharge paperwork was if you have a headache that doesn't go away with medicine, go to the ER. Well, I had three other kids at home, so I just thought, yeah, I just had a baby, so I'm gonna have a headache. I have three kids running around. It's loud at my house. I didn't think anything of it. But yeah, looking back at it now, I had all the signs, I guess. I had a bad headache. I was swelling, like I didn't lose any weight after having the baby. I still was retaining water. So I guess all the signs were there, but I did not think stroke. I didn't think go to the hospital. And thankfully, I didn't take medicine because if I had, I would have taken ibuprofen. And with the hemorrhagic stroke, that would have just made it worse. So I'm glad everything worked out how it did. But yeah, no, nothing, no signs, nothing.
Wow.
Yeah.
How has it been dealing with like this like huge life change? Like how is life now?
Yeah, so that's been an issue. I've always been very independent and doing things my way is the right way. So I've really had to like let go of that idea and let people help me their way. Any help is good help. So I wish I had just known that before the stroke. I've always been given great advice before the stroke, but I never listened to it. So now I wish I'm like, man, if I'd only listened to people being like, take a break, take care of yourself. Um, let others help you. I wish I just listened to all that before the stroke, but now I'm listening because I don't have a choice. So I wish I listened, but I know we were talking earlier about Ted Lasso, and that's like one of my favorite shows. And I love it because he tells one of his players, the happiest animal on earth is a goldfish because they only have a 10-second memory. And so I wish that I had just taken that advice and just been like, let things go. Don't worry so much. Like, if something's bothering me, just let it go. And now I think being from a able-bodied world, where I was so independent and able-bodied and doing things myself, to now being in the world of disability, it's just eye-opening, right? I mean, I have a perspective, and I think God knew that I wouldn't have listened because I got great advice from before. People would tell me all the things, listen to your body, be happy where you are, carpe diem, seize the day, take life, take time to smell the roses. But I think God knew I was just so stubborn. I couldn't listen to that. Like, it's great advice, but I didn't listen. I had to go through something to gain that perspective. I couldn't just let it go. I don't have a 10-second memory. I wish I was a goldfish, but I'm not. So I think that has been the biggest thing that I've learned, like looking at people with disabilities or without disabilities, just learning how to live in a disabled world that's not made for us. It's just very interesting. Because I used to coach Special Olympics, growing up, and like I just never had that perspective until you actually go through it. I think that's the hardest thing is like you can be sympathetic but not empathetic, and I think that difference there has been really challenging for me to understand and now live it and see others and like be an advocate for others and be a voice because I did survive. I don't know why, but I did survive, and I do still have my, cognition and my ability to speak and speak for myself and speak for others. So I think it's good that even though I don't like confrontation, I never have, this is giving me an opportunity to speak out, speak up for myself and speak up and out for others. So it's just different, I think.
I love that, Kat.
Yeah.
I love that. Looking through your recovery, so I know that initially you said you had to like relearn how to swallow, relearn how to
Mhm.
walk. What have been some like milestones you've had in your recovery?
Yeah,
Like
definitely
moments that you can
driving.
think of. Wow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That, like learning how to drive again. I never thought I would drive again. And that is
Oh,
such a source of independence. So I didn't really realize it, how much we take for granted just to be able to get in your car and go somewhere or go to Target or do anything. So I like being able to just get in my car and have the adaptive equipment. And there's a place, I'm glad that I was in Houston when I had the stroke because of the medical here, because of the
yes.
technology. It's a great, I mean, I hate that I had the stroke, but it's a great time to be a patient, and it's a great place to be in for those recovery things because they taught me how to drive again. I went to Stromat to learn how to drive as a disabled person. I have equipment in my car that enables me to drive because I always, I now think that yes, I have disabilities, but I'm not unable to do things. I'm
Yes.
disabled, but not unable. So if there's a will, there's a way. And that's what I've learned here in Houston. There's always a way to figure things out. There's people to help you, and there's engineers and scientists and doctors that'll figure it out and help you. And so that, I think one of the milestones that I really like is I was able to drive again and able to, now that was a catch 22 because now that I'm able to drive again, I can be a mom and take my kids places and actually do errands and do things. So I love driving, but maybe not as much as like I would love to just sit in my bed and do nothing, but I can't, so I love driving now.
Oh, I love that. That's like a really big milestone that I think we don't think about.
Yeah.
I want to go back to something you said. I really like. I really liked when you talked about the difference between sympathy and empathy, and how
Yeah.
the stroke kind of like changed your mindset. Um, how has it been like dealing with like society as a whole? Do you find that our society is very, very like welcoming to people that are different, or have you dealt with like any like negative reactions or like strange looks or things like
Oh
that?
yeah, oh sure. Well, I think and that's what has been the biggest thing is I've had to teach my family, teach my friends, teach everybody how to like deal or how to, talk to somebody or, how to help because everyone wants to help. Everyone is sympathetic. Everyone wants to help you and do and make it easier for you. However, I found that I'm so independent, like, and I don't like having help that I have to accept it. And so I teach people, like, ask me, say, I'm here if you need it, and then let me ask you. So I appreciate the sympathy from people. I don't appreciate platitudes from people or the like good sayings or nice sayings just to make me feel better. I say all the time, I have so many silver linings that I could make a quilt with all my silver linings, but my friends in high school, my tribe, we are big fans of Dr. Becky Kennedy, and she is a child psychologist, but man, she is my psychologist. So she always says we can do hard things and two things can be true at once. So yes, I can be very thankful that, my stroke was on the right side of my brain. So my right side, I can still write. I have my cognition, my memory, my ability to speak. But I can still also be really angry at my situation and mad at people around me that don't really understand it. Two things can be true at once. So I'm trying to really like reconcile that and be patient with others. The thing that I still get mad about is like when I go to the grocery store and I need a rascal and it's not plugged in or they're left outside, just little things like that. But my husband reminds me, he's like, if you go around the world every day being angry at people that don't mean to do things. They just don't know what they don't know because they've never had to deal with it. He's like, it's going to be a really hard life. I said, yeah, you're right, but I'm still mad. He goes, and that's okay, but just, move on. But I'm not a goldfish, so I can't. So I get really mad. But I think
Yes.
that's good, like teaching my children and other family members just to look around you, be considerate, like you're not the only person in the world. But I tell my husband all the time, like I go into bathrooms and like when they have bars on both sides of the stall, I'm like, this is amazing. And I take pictures because the ADA would love this. But you don't think
Yes.
about that or the ramps that aren't too high. You have a ramp, but if it is too high or too low. And then at some airports, the sinks will have like soap right next to the water. And you just put your hand under it. And you don't
Hmm.
think that that is amazing because I never had to do that before. But for me, who doesn't have the use of their left arm, to just stick your right hand under and get soap and water and an air dryer right there, those are amazing things. So I see things differently now. Whereas I think society tries to help and they try to do the right thing and they try to make like things easier for me, but it's not always 100%. So I always make sure to tell the people, even if they don't have anything to do with it, like the card readers at Walmart when they're down on my level. So when I
Hmm.
am using the rascal, I can see what I'm doing with the card instead of reaching up and trying to insert my card. I'm like, hey, I know you don't have anything to do with this, but please tell your manager that this is amazing. Or the bathrooms at the airports, I go and I'm like, this is amazing. Or TSA agents who are so helpful, they don't know, and
Hmm.
everything should be standard, but it's not. I'm very I make sure to just thank them and say what they're doing is great and it makes a difference.
I love that you do that. I love that you take the time to do that because I think, like you said, like it's giving them that feedback that, like, okay, we need to do more of that. We need to
Mhm.
have more of those things. I love that.
Yeah.
I also love the quotes that you gave about we can do hard things and then two things
Yeah.
can be true at once. And I love that you're a reader.
Oh
So
yeah,
if you
Dr.
like,
Becky, my hero. Those things they can be applied to kids, but you don't have to have a stroke to apply those things, right? We can all
yes.
do hard things, and two things can be true at once. I wish I'd heard that before my stroke, or I wish I'd listened to it more, and really
Yeah,
taken it on. But now is as good as time as any, so I'm
true.
glad that at least I'm now listening to that now.
Very true.
Yeah.
So then if your life was a book, what would this chapter be called?
Oh goodness. Would it be your chapter? Because I know
No.
I've given you a chapter. Would it be Grace, Hope, and Mercy? No. Um,
No. No,
no.
no. This chapter of your
This
life right
chapter of my
now.
life would be like keep going, I guess. Keep going. Uh, keep doing the hard things. Um, I this hope shirt. I go to Camp Hope Heals. It's kind of interesting that because of the stroke, I was introduced to Catherine and Jay Wolf, and Catherine had had a stroke back, I mean, years ago. But she had a stroke 6 months after childbirth because of an AVM in her brain. So she was born with that. But they've introduced me. That was the first book that I read out of inpatient was Hope Heals and Suffer Strong, but by Catherine and Jay Wolf. And I would have never met them or known who they were if this hadn't happened. So I'm very thankful for that opportunity. And then I went to their camp last year, Camp Hope Heals, and they had Sandra McCracken. She's a singer, songwriter, um, musician, um, and her song "Fool's Gold." She says it beautifully. She's like, this is not okay, but this is not the end. And it's not the end because if it's the end, I wouldn't be here. So it's not the end, but it's also not okay. And I just love it. And I listen to that song like almost every day, because maybe that's what the chapter be called. This is not the end. There's still more.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love, love, love that. Um, what is you've kind of touched a little bit more about that, about things that you've like learned, like since having the stroke. But if you had like one take-home message that you wish people would understand about like your disability or about having a stroke, what would that take-home message be?
Um, Again, like it's probably going to lead to disabilities, but
Hmm.
disabilities doesn't mean you're unable to do things. I
Love
think that's
that.
the biggest thing is like, yes, I'm disabled now, but I can still do a lot of things. And I'm almost I have a different perspective now where now that I do things, I'm more thankful for that, just even the little things like getting up in the morning or taking my kids to school or going to a PTA meeting,
Yeah.
just little things like that I can do. I can't do it perfectly. I can't do it very well, but I can do it. So I think just being appreciative, I'm appreciative of the little things that I took for granted before.
Okay, I love that. I love your perspective on like everything. I think it's like so amazing, and every time I listen to you speak, I think it's so inspiring. Just like seeing your journey through all of that, and like you're amazing, Kat. You're
Oh,
amazing.
thank you.
Yeah. Okay. I wanted to go back into, so you mentioned a little bit about your career and
Mhm.
how like now you're like full-time mom of four, which like
Yeah.
keeps you super, super busy.
Yeah.
What are some hobbies that you've been able to like pick back up, and do you have any goals for like other hobbies?
Oh, I mean, it's not the same, right? I mean, I would love to go back and swim or run again, like, because I would do some triathlons or races. And part of me is happy that I can't do that, because I'm like, oh, I can't train for it. Oh, man. But of course, there's a part of me that wishes I could do that again. And maybe I will, just differently. Um, I used to love to just like go in the ocean with my kids or like go skiing with them. Like I had these visions of what I was going to do with my kids as they got older. And a lot of it had to do with like active, like camping or, you know, water skiing, snow skiing. And I can still do those things or just enjoy it with them, but not in the same way that I had envisioned. Um, so I think my hobbies have changed. I'm not as active as I would like to be. No skydiving, no bungee jumping, no things that like I had in my mind that like, oh, that would be cool to do, or I would do it before. Um, but I can still go to the beach with my kids and like hang out. I still get in the pool with them, and they like that. Um, I would love to. My husband always jokes, free solo El Capitan. Let's do a mountain climbing. I was like, no, and I'm okay with that. That has nothing to do with this joke. I just would have never free soloed El Capitan before, but I do think I would like to get back into like some kind of sport or activity with them. Like we've worked on snow skiing. Like I know that sounds so crazy and ridiculous, but I like those goals that sound kind of crazy and ridiculous. But maybe doing like a 1 mile race with them, like walking or running. I would love. I mean, I would love to run again. I don't love running, but I would love to run a race again. Um, I would love to walk normal, like little goals, walk without a cane, walk without, any equipment. And I'm getting there. But my goals, I think, have just changed a little bit. They're not as intense, maybe, as they once were. And that's okay. Like my goals are very small. They're more manageable now. Just like walk down the street without my cane or without anything on my leg, just walk. Walk my dog again, you know, just little things like that. But I'm also not, I don't feel disappointed. I mean,
Mm,
I wish that I could do those things, but it's not like this huge disappointment, you know? So I don't know if that's because I really didn't want to do it or if that I've just like accepted where I am now and that I need smaller goals. But yeah, I would love to do some kind of race again, maybe. That's a big goal. A race or snow skiing or something, yeah. I don't know. People I think might be shocked that I want to do that, but maybe one day. Maybe
I,
one day.
I love that. I'm taking notes for all of those goals, and I'm like,
Great.
okay, on Monday we're going
Great.
to do a
Great.
Spartan race.
Yes, great.
I
Yeah.
love that. I love that, like, you said those goals have changed and they may be like smaller,
Yeah.
but I think they're so, so important. And so I love that you have things that you're looking forward to
Yeah.
trying and to
Like I told you the
exploring.
other day, I'm going to my nephew's baptism and I want to just wear
Yes.
normal shoes. I just want to wear
Mm-hmm.
normal shoes to his baptism. So that is one goal that could be, it's what is it? It's small, it's attainable, it's measurable, and and I can do it. So we're gonna start with that. Maybe just wear cute, as my mom would say, just wear cute shoes. So maybe that's my next goal. Wear cute shoes to my nephew's baptism. That's a good one.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. So you mentioned earlier like Catherine Wolf and like Hope Heals and how much it was impactful to you. I was just wondering if you had any shout outs. You mentioned your husband like also briefly too, but any family members that have like or like friends that have been like very instrumental in your recovery, like any shout out you want to give out to them.
Yeah. Oh, sure. I mean, my parents, Ann and Bob Dan, I mean, obviously, because I've dealt with like not just the physical stuff, but being like mentally angry and mentally like this is not fair. You know, life's not fair and it's not. And so I think just my parents and my brothers, I have three brothers and their wives, just and my husband's sisters. I mean, they all have just, and my husband's parents have just had to be patient with me as I work through not just the physical difficulties, but like my mindset, the mental challenges too that come up with it. And then of course my tribe, my, four girlfriends, we talk every day. And my Dr. Becky fans, they just help me, they give me that outlet to be mad, to, vent. And their moms too, their wives and moms, and we vent about the same kind of stuff. But you don't have to have a stroke or go through this life event to like be mad about life. It's hard. It's hard. Having kids is hard, and so I think I just appreciate having those people to vent to support me, even the hill peaks and valleys, it's a roller coaster for me, and I put everyone else on a roller coaster. We're all on this together, and they have to go through it whether they want to or not. So I just appreciate everyone like sticking with me through all my highs and lows, mentally and physically. They haven't given up on me, and so I appreciate that. And my doctors, my therapists, the nurses, like everyone, I don't know how y'all do it in the healthcare community. My case manager with the insurance, man, that is huge. Karen, I mean, man, that is huge to like even to deal with all the red tape that insurance and doctors and medical, I mean, in the nurses like that took care of me in the hospital, that bathed me. I was so embarrassed. I was like, I'm so sorry. They're like, no, this is our job. But man, I get so embarrassed when they had to like do my toileting and like, just all my, dressing needs and just bathe me, just all the things like that. And just feed me, like the things that you don't think about, cleaning my peg tube, like my feeding tube, like all the things, and me getting mad and trying to like rip out stuff in my arms, the nurses are angels. I mean, yeah, so I mean, everyone just been so patient. And I look back and I'm like, man, it really does take a village, right? To do everything, to raise your kids, to like deal with me, the paramedic, I mean, everyone, Nora, she was the 911 operator when I called 911, because I called 911 myself, and so she calmed me down and kept me talking until the paramedics got there. I mean, just, I feel like everyone I meet and everyone that's been on this journey with me has been so important, you know?
Kat, I love this. I love this. Do you have any parting words, any last things you would want to like share or things I haven't asked you about?
No, just we can do hard things. We
I
can all
love
do
that.
hard things.
That's definitely something I'm going to like write down on my little
Yes.
notepad and like maybe like,
Look at it every
put
day
my
on your
sticker.
mirror. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
because it's an amazing like mantra and saying. So
Yeah,
I love
exactly.
that. Okay, well, Kat, thank you for sharing your story
Thank
with us.
you.
Thank you for the time. I'm like super honored and humble that I get to like watch you grow and watch you like accomplish like great things. I'm excited for the snowboarding and the Spartan races
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
all of
Yeah.
the fun things in the future. But thank you very much.
Thank you, Mercy. I appreciate it.